Many of the women around the world who are not on the right side of the statistics, who have not gotten into school, who have not had sort of new entrepreneurial opportunities, who have not seen kind of their health improve or the health of their children improve, live in rural areas. And I know one thing that you're really working to do is to ensure that more women and also just more children in rural areas have access to meaningful educational opportunities here in Morocco. Could you talk a little bit about what you're doing and what you found the impact has been on women and on girls of your programs?
Well, let me tell you first of all that I feel very spoiled today as the only man on this stage with four pretty ladies, four women. I was concerned about which panel I would have been invited to talk at this conference. And I was so pleased when I learned that I was invited to be part of this panel about women leadership in the world. I would like to talk about our group. I am a chairman of a group, Moroccan group, involved in industry, banking, insurance, telecom, and other activities. And the priority of the strategy of our group is to have a majority of women working in this group. And I would like to point that in the last 20 years, we were in 1955, we had 22% of women working in our group, about 25,000 people today. But today, I'm talking with you, we have 47 women who are responsible of the development of our group. In Morocco, in Europe, in China, and in Africa. So women are the priority, and I'm very pleased to say that. In our activity, a part of the business activity, we have several foundations. And one of the foundations is devoted to education and environment. And I am pleased also to say that this foundation is chaired by a woman, Dr. Othman Benjelloun, which happened to be my wife for the last 55 years. She is initially a doctor, a medical doctor in ophthalmology. But in the last 15 years, she devoted herself to the Family and Company Foundation. This foundation is building schools all over Morocco, only in rural areas, and also in Africa. We have several hundred schools today, several thousand pupils which are we learn every year. We teach in our schools 4 languages: Arabic, Berber, or Amazigh, which is the original language of Morocco, French as a foreign language, and since 1 year, Mandarin, Chinese. We teach Chinese in our school. Why Chinese? Because we think that in the future, it will be international language, as today English is an international language. So in our schools, we promote mainly the girls, and the girls in rural areas, because we think tomorrow they'll be the mother of their children, they'll be doctors, engineers, architects, and that's the future generation of Morocco and of Africa. And we are very honored to do this job. I would like to make one point which is important, is that I convinced the boards of directors of our group to make part of the income of each company devoted to the foundation. And for the Foundation for Education, we give every year 4% of our income before tax. And this is very important to have this financing facility to give education to boys and girls in the rural areas. So this is a part, and I would say this action is the action we devote more time, my wife and I, more than in the managing of the companies. I have very good managers who do the work and who make that every company is profitable, so we can have an interest from all this activity.
Amazing. Thank you.
For the moment, I can talk to you more.
No, thank you. And you know, Othman, when you were talking earlier about all that you're doing at your company level and also kind of through your foundations, clearly you're doing these things because they're the right thing to do, but also because you believe they make business sense to have more women engaged in your workforce. How do you help make the case that it's both morally the right thing to do, but also sort of business-wise the smart thing to do to your peers, not just here in Morocco, but to Zainab's point, really around the world?
Talking about women, may I talk about personal
Please.
experiences? Very often in the world, in Morocco, all around me, friends, people ask me, how come do I am always the same, even if decades goes by, years goes by? What is my secret? Do I take a special pill? Do I make a special injection to stay the same with a certain dynamic, creating every year more activity, and mostly for women? Then my answer is very simple. I say 3 women has made me who I am today. First woman is my mother. She passed away a year ago at the age of 103 years. She gave me birth and she educated me and she made me who I am today. Second woman in my life is my wife, Leila. For 55 years, she inspired me. She, I wouldn't say teach me, but she directed me to love my work. Even if I work 25 hours on 24, she accepted and she encouraged me. And she is the woman who gave me the power I have today. The third woman, she is present here today, and it's my daughter, Dunya. And Dunya studied in Washington, and she's a film producer. She loves life. And what happened between the 4 of us, my mother, my wife, my daughter, and myself, is that we have developed a very special feeling about love. A love of what we are doing, a love of the people who are surrounding us, a love of the whole people in the world, and particularly young girls and women. So this is my pill, this is my injection, who make me be who I am today. Sorry that I talk about myself, but I hope it will be contagious to everyone here at this level.
I hope so as well. Will you comment also on the question of how we can help women-owned and operated small enterprises grow into large enterprises, particularly to Zainab's framing that it's both money and training?
May I make a proposal
Of course,
to the CGI Foundation?
absolutely.
From the experience we have in our group, by devoting a percentage of the income of our companies, I think if President Clinton takes the initiative of asking all the private companies, I say private companies in the world, to devote 1% of their income to education of girls and women in the whole planet. I think we can educate hundreds of millions or billions of women for the future generation. I think it's easy to give 1% of the income for any company if we explain them properly to which purpose this money will be devoted to. And I will not be able to talk to the whole planet population, but President Clinton can do it. And I hope
I will tell him.
You can ask him, you personally.
Thank you.
We count on you.
Thank you. Nasha, what about in the UAE? How do you help small women-owned businesses at least have the opportunity, again, to the kind of limits of their own talents, as far as that may stretch, to become...
Talking about empowering men rather than women. So could have achieved everything we want. Yes, I believe that in 10 years we're going to, I believe that we're going to see a leap, a change in the region itself. If I'm going to say in the region, a lot of women, they're going to be in the workforce, they're going to have businesses, and they're going to have economic independence. They're going to contribute to the GDP. This is what I believe in. I'd like to see it, hopefully.
Yeah, I would like to end what I said, telling you about what happened at a dinner party in New York a few years ago, when Secretary General Ban Ki-moon was elected as Secretary General of UN. My dear friend David Rockefeller has organized a dinner in honor of Ban Ki-moon. And at the end of the dinner, well, among the guests, I have been invited to say a few words. What should I say to the Secretary General of UN? So I stand up and I told him, I said to the audience, if I was Secretary General of UN, the first thing I will do is to change some letters of the alphabet, starting with A, ending with Z. I say, I would like the alphabet start with E instead of A. Why E? E is education. And I talk about education which has to be changed or developed in the whole world. And the second letter of the alphabet I propose to change and to eliminate is W. I say we should eliminate W because W is war, and we don't want any war anymore in this world. Well, and I developed a little bit this idea. Today, I changed my mind. I'd like to keep W because W is women, and we'd like to always have the possibility to talk and to write women with a W. This is just a...
I think it's an excellent suggestion. Zainab.
Very nice. It's hard to follow. This is hard to follow. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, the plenary session is now concluded. Your next working session will begin at 11 a.m. in your respective meeting rooms. Thank you, mesdames et messieurs. La session plénière prend fin. La prochaine session aura lieu à 11 heures dans les salles de sous-commission. سيداتي سادتي الجلسة أغلقت والجلسة الآتية ستكون على الساعة 11 في القاعات المخصصة وشكرا.